Welcome to Cedarcraft. Today we will be making stuffed buns. These buns are stuffed with beef and cheese filling, and I think you're going to enjoy this recipe. So as you can see, I have all of the ingredients laid out, and it's really a very easy dough to make. There are a few ingredients, but don't be intimidated, it's really easy. The first thing that we're going to do is measure out 4 cups of unbleached all-purpose flour, and we're going to use our mixing bowl today. You can use any kind of mixer that you have. I am using a Bosch mixer. So 4 cups of flour, 1/4 cup of King Arthur Better Cheddar cheese powder. I didn't have the cheese powder, so I was told that instead of using the cheese powder, I could substitute with Parmesan cheese, and so that is what I've done. That will go in the bowl. The next thing would be 1/2 cup of sour cream. And so I have my sour cream here. We're going to put that in the bowl. Now this is my first time making this dough, so at the time that I was making it, I had no idea how wonderful this dough was going to turn out. Next, you will do 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, softened, and so I actually did soften it. I kind of melted it a little bit, but it has cooled off, and so it's not going to affect the dough as much as hot butter would. The next thing after that would be 1/2 cup of warm water, 2 large eggs, but I'm going to wait until the end to do the eggs. Next, we'll do 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 1½ teaspoons of salt, and 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. I didn't have instant yeast. I just used regular yeast, and it worked just fine. So now I'm going to crack my eggs, 2 large eggs. And I always crack them in a separate bowl, and that way we prevent shells or, a bad egg. Not very often do you find a bad egg these days, but you never know. And that is it for our dough. The directions say, combine all the dough ingredients and mix and knead by hand, mixer, or bread machine until a soft, smooth dough forms. And so that's what we've got. You'll see this dough comes together so nicely. I was so pleased with it. After this dough comes together, the directions say transfer the dough to a lightly greased bowl, cover, and allow to rest for about 90 minutes until puffy but not necessarily doubled in bulk. And so that's what we're going to do. As you can see, my little pug Theo has come to say hello. Poor Theo wasn't feeling well that day, and so his little tail was hanging a little bit. But I did give him some hellos, no pats while we're making bread, but a couple hellos. And off he goes. So the dough is ready, and look how beautiful it is. The dough pulls off of the dough hooks so nicely, and it's soft, and it is a little bit sticky, but nothing that I'm concerned about, because look at that beautiful dough ball. So we will transfer this to a lightly greased bowl and allow it to rise. Okay, next we're going to cover with some plastic wrap and let it rise for 90 minutes according to the directions. I did 60 and it was fine. Okay, so while we're waiting for the bread to rise enough so that we can make the little dough balls, let's talk about the filling. So this is the filling that I made. And so as you can see, it has cheese and meat. Let me tell you what's in it. The filling has 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil or olive oil, and I used olive oil, 1 small peeled onion or shallot, finely diced, about 3/4 of a cup. I just cut up 1 onion. I didn't measure it. 1 clove of garlic, finely chopped. I didn't have a clove of garlic, so I put some garlic powder in with my meat. 8 ounces of ground beef, salt and pepper to taste, chopped parsley, fresh or dried, 1½ cups of cheddar cheese, and then we'll need 1 large egg beaten with a tablespoon of water to brush on the dough. So that is what's in here, minus the egg. The egg is for brushing on the dough at the end. So basically it's just using a little bit of oil to cook your meat with an onion or shallot, a little bit of garlic, salt and pepper and parsley, and you just cook the meat up and then let it cool a little bit and then mix your shredded cheddar cheese in there. So as you can see, the cheese is still nice and shredded. I didn't put it in there when it was hot because then it would have melted and it would have become just a nice big gluey mass. So this way, when I put it in the dough balls, we'll have a nice mixture of the meat and the cheese. So that is very easy, super simple, and actually, to be honest with you, you can put whatever you want in these dough balls. I'm sure it's going to be very good. So let me get the dough balls out, and let's see, I'm going to leave this out. Let me get the dough out of the oven. And it wasn't going to double, so I'm not worried about that. It did rise a little bit. It didn't rise a whole lot, but that's okay. The main thing now is that we have to divide this dough into 16 semi-equal pieces. So I'm gonna get a knife out. And let's see, what kind of knife am I going to use? Let me try this one. So all I'm going to do is try to divide the dough as best I can. So that's in half. This is half. So each of these quarters need to be cut into 4 pieces. So I'm going to cut this in half, and this in half, and this in half, and this in half. And then each one of these I'm going to divide into 2 dough balls. We'll see how that works, right? I don't know how it's going to work. We will see. So here we go. Okay, it is making a nice little dough ball. Divide the dough into 16 equal pieces. If you have a scale, they'll weigh about 2 ounces each. Shape the pieces into balls and place them on lightly greased or parchment-lined baking sheets. Okay, lightly greased or parchment-lined baking sheets, leaving about 1 inch between them. So I won't have to grease the parchment paper, so that's good. Okay, so yes, I am going to get 8
of these and try to make them as even as I can. You know how that goes, right? So we've been making bread in the kitchen this morning, as you can see by the loaves of bread on the side here. We've been making white bread, which is the sandwich loaf bread that we eat every day. And then what we're supposed to do is cover these lightly and let them set for about 15 minutes. And that's basically to let the dough rest a little bit so that you can then start stuffing. Once we stuff, then it will need to rest for a good 90 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay. There we go. All right, so we have 16 dough balls out of this, which is what we were supposed to get. So I feel like we accomplished what we were trying to do here. Now we're gonna let this rest for 15 minutes and we'll be back to stuff. All right, so now we're ready to form the dough into the little sandwich pockets. I have 1 egg and about a tablespoon of water, and I have used a fork and got that all mixed up. So now what we're going to do is take one of these dough balls. We're going to flatten it to about a 5-inch circle, like this, and then we're going to brush it with a little bit of egg wash. And here we go. And take a heaping tablespoon. It said 2 tablespoons, but I am going to use a regular, and that might be too much. We'll see, won't we? Okay, we're going to take the opposite ends and pinch it together until it forms what looks like a little dumpling. Oh, look at that. Oh, my cheese is running out. A little bit of meat is trying to escape, but that's okay. So I'm just going to pinch that and lay it on its side. There we go. And let's go to the next one. Okay, so we're going to push that out. Can you see how I'm doing this? Push it out into a circle. Pull this side up and pinch it until you have something that looks like a little dumpling. Ta-da! And then I'm just kind of rolling it on its side. So we're going to keep going. And I am going to keep making these, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. Okay. My dough has been resting for about an hour. And so now the last thing to do is to brush the tops lightly with the leftover egg wash from before. And so I'm just going to give it a little tiny wash. And then we're going to put it in a preheated 400-degree oven. My oven just sang the song of its people, and so I know that it is ready. We're going to bake these for 15 to 20 minutes until they're lightly golden brown. And since this is the first time that I've done this, I have no idea how long it's going to take in my oven. So we're going to be watching this very carefully. One thing I do notice is that this dough is very delicate. So I'm trying to brush it really lightly. This is a silicone brush and it's nice, but I'm not sure if a bristle brush would be a little bit more gentle. So I think that I've got it all nicely coated. The coating, of course, is just going to allow it to brown, and I think it's good. So we're going to put this in the oven. Okay, we're going to set it for 15 minutes and we're going to check it. It may take 20. We'll see.
Somehow I've lost the footage of taking the stuffed buns out of the oven, but here you can see I did a film of the buns while they were in the oven, and you can see them rising and browning. And then here they are. They are so delicious. The crust was tender and brown, and it was just so tasty. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this recipe. I sure did, and I will be definitely making this over and over again with different fillings. I'm really excited about that. And as always, thank you for joining me here on this adventure as I go home to Cedarcroft.